Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this postmortem on my Blitz game number 773. I started out with e4. My opponent went e5. Went knight f3, hoping to get maybe a Ruy Lopez, but he went with d6, the Philidor defense, and the third choice on the list. This can lead to some interesting positions. They're somewhat cramped and quiet for black, or you can give up the center and go for counterplay against the center in a hyper-modern strategy. So it's a playable opening, but I think the way my opponent played it, it's not particularly good. Anyway, as white, just d4, going for the big center as the main move and the best move there. And yeah, here's the alternative. So taking, this seems to be the modern way to play it. You just take here, white takes back with the knight. Black can later kick the knight with the move c4, leaving a backwards d-pawn, but, well, get some play on the dark squares. You can also set up with the fianchetto here and look at that diagonal, so which will be open after the exchange of pawns there. So there's you're giving up the center, so you have to look for play with your pieces, but should be a playable opening. The traditional ways of playing it are with knight to f6 and knight to d7. Just holding on to the center, and those are the positions that can get somewhat cramped. Let's see, there's f5, the Philidor counter gambit, which is not especially good, and then this move that he played, bishop g4, which is just not a good move. And the way to refute it is d takes e5. And the idea here is that if he takes, you trade queens, so this comes with tempo, and then you grab the pawn, and so you're a pawn up, and actually you have a nice active knight here, and black has lost. The knight immediately is threatening this fork, and black has lost castling privileges and will lose some more time defending against that fork. So this is just winning for white. Let's see, going back to the game, he did play that. The Morphy game, the Opera House game, continued with bishop takes f3, and that's an interesting way to play. You take back with the queen, and then when he grabs a pawn, it's a way to hold on to the pawn, but well, white gets quick development with this bishop c4, threatening here, and after knight f6, the queen can swing across to the other side with a double attack, and I think you can even win a pawn here. Let's see, bishop d6, queen e7. Yeah, this pawn needs to be defended, I think. Bishop d6 seems somewhat mysterious. It's just giving up the f pawn. But in any case, these positions are all good for white. And if you have never seen the Morphy Opera House game, that's a fun game. You should check it out. You can find videos online. Anyway, my opponent didn't go with bishop takes f3. He went with top choice here, knight d7. And this is just sacrificing a pawn. So you take a pawn, and black gets quick development, but it's just not enough compensation. So I can't really recommend this gambit. I was saying the compensation looked interesting, but as I looked at it more with the chess engine, it seems that all the lines, if white plays correctly, lead to a pretty big edge. Anyway, I played some natural moves here. I went bishop e2, unpinning the knight. He went knight to f6. Yeah, and here's where I play a move which is not in the opening book, and that's this e5 move. So the best line according to the chess engine is the second move here, knight d4. If you're ever in this position, just play knight d4, and you're threatening immediately to take the bishop. So no time to grab the pawn, and after he trades, the queen comes back to defend the center, and you stay a pawn up, and you've got a nice active position. So so all that is good for white. Let's see, in the game I played e5, and so that's not in the opening book, although it is an interesting move. So maybe it's not the best move, we already established that, but it doesn't lead to a bad position. So in the worst case, black can take that pawn if he does it, and get to an even position. But if he takes the pawn in the wrong way, which he did in this game, then he's just lost. So the correct way to play this is to take with the bishop, so that after I take back, I can take with the knight, and the two knights together defend the bishop, and so I'm not winning material here. Let's see, bishop takes g4, knight f takes g4, and castles was the line where actually the chess engine still prefers white a little bit here, but the material is even, the pawn structure is entirely identical, and it's hard to see what white's advantage consists of. Black is going to castle the next move, so you can't really argue that white has an edge in development. In fact, black is the one that's got his pieces out. Maybe the bishop on the open board is going to be a better piece. Not that one. Maybe the bishop on the open board is going to be a better piece in the long run. But yeah, pretty slim edge there. So I guess I wouldn't repeat this experiment with e5, but it is interesting. And sometimes you want to give your opponent an opportunity to make mistakes, and he did. So this move just throws away the game. So anyway, if you find yourself in a position like this, you really need to pause and calculate all the lines, all the different recaptures. Even bishop takes f3 doesn't lose material. Maybe he didn't want to give up the bishop pair, but you know, he could snag the pawn this way. Yeah, maybe I get this pawn. It's complicated, but even that move is playable. Although bishop takes e5 was the best move according to the chess engine, and seemed pretty natural. But he played knight takes e5, and after that I just take the knight, and I'm a piece up, and there's no way he can recover the piece. I think the problem is that when he takes here, my queen comes to defend my knight, and if he takes the other way, if he takes the knight, then I take the bishop, which is undefended. So I just stay a piece up in all the lines. So anyway, let's continue with the game. There's a few more interesting points, but basically I'm winning the rest of the way. So I never let go of that initial advantage. We can step forward to the point where there's a change in the evaluation. All along here it's about +3 for the extra piece, and he has a chance here to actually win a pawn. He would have to give up his dark squared bishop. Maybe he didn't want to do this, but you know, he can grab this pawn. So he gets a pawn and for the piece. I mean, I'm still winning. I have a bishop, and my king is not in bad shape, and I can still bring my rook over. The bishop plus this rook provide enough support that I can oppose on the e-file. So yeah, so he's not going to be able to get a whole lot out of this. I mean, he could throw in this check. These were suggestions from the chess engine, but still, now I'm in a position to trade one pair of rooks. I'm still a piece up, and yeah, things are looking pretty good. But that would be better than what he played. He went knight to d7, and now I can trade and not lose a piece. Let's see, he took with the queen, and I'm able to bring this rook over. Let's see, he threw in the check with the bishop, and then went back here and went ahead and traded off one pair of rooks. And he took with the pawn. Now, that was his second mistake. He probably should have taken with the queen. Although, you know, I suppose he didn't like the idea that I would just play my rook here and trade off another pair of rooks, making his job even harder. He's trying to keep material on and complicate things. But, well, when he covers up his pieces on the e-file, it gives me a chance to unwind a little bit by, you know, I was having trouble actually finding a place to put that bishop, and now I've got a useful thing to do with my bishop. Got to get it to a better square, and I can take advantage of the blocked e-file by placing my pieces on the e-file. So this helps me get my pieces out, and then when my pieces come out, they can force some more exchange. So anyway, he tries some various things, but there was no avoiding trouble. Let's see. So let's go forward to the next moment where something interesting happens. So yeah, I mean, I'm staying a piece up here all the way. I did overlook this idea that he might sacrifice a piece and remove all my pawn cover. If I had noticed that, I might have played, let's see, is there a move to defend? Yeah, I could have considered something like queen to g4, but there's actually nothing wrong with the way I played. I mean, this does not work. I looked at it and there was no chance for him to get a perpetual. I maybe was a bit lucky that my bishop was on this diagonal, so he is having trouble finding places to deliver checks from. Yeah, basically, this none of this worked. And let's see, I went with Queen B8 check. Here, the fastest way to finish is actually with the move Bishop to D4, with the Queen and the Bishop coordinating on the last pawn. Well, the G pawn in front of his king. This leads to a mate in about 5 moves. So that would be the quickest way to win. So anyway, I went for a more I went for the continuation I saw. I deliver some checks, and I still was just trying to get rid of his queen so that I could get I could win the game without fear of falling into a perpetual check. Let's see, I went Queen C8 there, letting him grab a pawn, but I'm holding on to the C pawn here. And let's see, I came in with this check, grab another pawn here, and in this position, yeah, Rook D1 is also a, instead of Queen takes E4, Rook D1 right here is another idea for trying to finish the game a little more quickly. I think that leads to a mate in about 5 moves as well. Let's see, I grabbed the pawn, and he grabbed a pawn, and Bishop to F2, yeah, and then finally got the queen traded off, and now with the Rook and Bishop I'm going after his loose pawns, and I'm going to easily win that endgame. But yeah, I had chances to just checkmate him with my extra material in the late middle game there too. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you again soon. Bye.